Thank you so much. One more time for my twin brother, Jeff. Walking behind him is always very confusing for me. I don't know if I'm looking at the back of my own head. So yeah, I was on my mother's porch in Costa Rica, listening to the river and watching tanagers eat papaya when my Aunt Judith turned to me and asked, "You don't like yourself, do you?" I grew up different. I was the daughter of an American mother in Kuwait, which in and of itself wasn't so strange. There were a lot of Americans in Kuwait in the 90s. You might remember that. What was different was me. I was only half. My father being Kuwaiti, my mother being American. I'll never forget a group of fifth graders stopped me and asked me, "How do you pray?" I said, "What?" They said, "How do you pray? Do you pray like this or do you pray like this?" I said, "Well, we don't really do much of either at my house." And they said, "Well, you have to choose. Your father is Muslim, so you are Muslim." And people were always trying to decide what I was for me when I never really felt like I was much of either. I eventually moved to Michigan, to Kalamazoo, Michigan, which is a real place. Growing up in the Middle East, we think that Kalamazoo is one of those totally made up places like Timbuktu or Israel. So it was fun to learn that it was really there. So I moved to Kalamazoo, Michigan, and people always told me it was too intense or too much, and I just never really fit in. And then I moved to Philadelphia, where turned out I was just an East Coaster all along. I found my home, and it was fantastic. I love the city. I found comedy here. I found the love of my life here. My family lives here, my mother's side of the family, and everything has been going absolutely according to plan. One night, I was assaulted in my own home by an acquaintance of mine. And slowly over time, I began to feel like I don't fit in again. Like I don't belong here. Like I don't deserve to be here. So I go to my mother's house in Costa Rica, and my Aunt Judith says, "You don't like yourself, do you?" Now, Aunt Judith is one of these amazing women who does Reiki and energy healing and body codes and healing codes, and she'll put a salt on your head and you'll be fine forever. It'll be perfect. So we were talking about past life regressions, and she said, a past life regression is a fantastic way to see what your mission is in this life. Find out what your mission is in this life. So because I like to do things on the cheap, I got an audiobook. And I sat down on the porch, I put my headphones in, and I was hypnotized. And a soothing male voice took me down, 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 deeper and deeper and deeper into a garden in my mind. And the voice asked me to look at my feet and to picture myself in this new life that I've already lived as a 15-year-old. And I saw in a forest a young man with brown skin and a straight nose and a blunt haircut, wearing ragged clothes that looked like they belonged to a pilgrim, which was weird. So I'm already like, this is BS. You know what I mean? And then it asked me, think of the year. What year is it? Just let the numbers float into your mind. And all of a sudden, I just knew it was 1692. And then it said, picture the most important person in your life. And all of a sudden I saw a domed wooden structure covered in animal skin and an old woman, brighter than anyone else in this vision. Just the most prominent person. And I knew that she was my grandmother. And I knew she she didn't like me. I knew that she resented me. And I knew it's because my father was a white man, and that I was different, and that I had the clothes on because I was different. And I also knew that nobody else accepted me in my community. And then the voice came back and asked me, picture yourself at the age you are now. And I pictured a grown man, kind of hot, not going to lie to you. Okay. A little bit of a Disney prince, all right? And my attitude had changed. When I was a child, I thought, this is my grandmother, she loves me, no matter what. As a man, I knew that I was never going to be a part of what was happening in my community, and that I would always be different, and I would never be allowed to be a part of it. And so I left. I left my community and I lived in a cave and I spent the rest of my life as a hermit. And then I also saw myself not writing comedy, not going to shows, not seeing my friends, not seeing my family, retreating into myself the way I had been for the past 3 years. And that's why I picked the old fireplace. This woman is in a hermitage here. And I, as a child, had always hoped that there were Muslim nuns so that I could live alone forever. And finally, the voice kicked back in and asked, what is the message that you are supposed to take away from this life? And I knew that I could not run away anymore. That I had to bring my people back into my life, and that I had to be a part of the world to be accepted by the world. The voice counted up from 10. I opened my eyes and I saw the tanagers and I saw the river. And I thought, wow, that is probably not true. But if it is, it's a pretty good lesson for me to take out of it. So I came back home and I picked up the phone and I called a friend. Thank you.